Downtown Improvement Corporation. And we'll begin with an invocation from Hillary, if you'll please stand.
Lord, we just pause in this moment to honor you and to acknowledge you in all that we do. We thank you so much for this community that you have given us. We take seriously the stewardship of this committee, and we ask that your blessings be on our visitors and on our town. We ask for your guidance as we move forward, making decisions for the future of Terrell, and we ask that your perfect will for our community be carried out. We ask all of these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. If you'll please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. I don't know that we have any remarks from visitors outside of the agenda this morning. So at this time, I'll ask you to review the minutes from our February 9th meeting, and I'll call for a motion to approve. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. This time I'll call on Raylan to review our financial report.
Good morning. In your packet is the financial report for your expenses to date. So these would be your expenses as of last Friday. Just a few notes as I go through there. Your facade reimbursement grant. I have your budgeted items there on the left, just so you kind of know the pocket of money that's already been promised out. Good news is that your imaginary lines, your Lyric Art Cafe was open for the eclipse, so we do have TABC license, and they are starting to plan their Thursday through Sunday events there at the Lyric. So there'll be more information coming on that. Your Anderson-Griffith partnership, y'all will notice that there are quite a few windows that have been removed from the building. So windows are on order, and they are expecting those within the next couple of weeks. So it looks like we're moving right along on that. I think the only other one, of course, we've got the continuous downtown landscape project. There's still a little bit left to pay and due on that, but we're making great progress. And you'll see an item here in just a little bit about your downtown parking lot project. So just if you have any questions.
Questions for Raylan? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed with discussion regarding our summer meeting schedule.
So I wanted to kind of give y'all a rundown, and I'm going to invite Carnell to come up here with me too, because there's a lot of things to think about in the next few months. So although it is only April, and I know Stephanie just loves to hear all of this too, we are fixing to be wide open in budget season. And so there's been a lot of notes taken throughout the year. There's a lot of projects that I know that I've been making note of things that y'all want to consider going into the summer. We will have, I've been working with consultants. We have a lot of information to bring you on quiet zones and also town square. We've wrapped up a few draft presentations, and actually we're looking to take that presentation on the road during May and June. Staff, what we would like to do is present this information to all of our boards and commissions. We feel like our P&Z and even our ZBA, your airport board, like we all end up making a lot of decisions, but does everyone understand the big umbrella of everything that's going on in the city? So kind of what we're putting together is not really a state of the city, but a state of some of the bigger capital projects that we've been talking about since the town hall meeting in February of 2023. So we'll have this regular meeting in April. I may be reaching out to you. We possibly might do a special meeting either at the very end of April or first part of May. That would just be an executive session about economic development negotiations. And so we've got some information to bring you about the ongoing development agreement that we've been discussing for a few months, and just some financial things and some project things that we need to bring forward to you. Chrissy Grant, the NOFO, was released last Friday, and within 7 days, we have been drafting the grant application. We've been finalizing the budget. We have our notice of intent for quiet zones. Like, it was a long wait, and now we have to hurry to get things ready. So what I'm doing is preparing a budget for y'all to consider that was originally part of your capital work plan, the complete streets and quiet zones. So as we're going through the budget meetings the next few months, we're going to be looking at updating your long-range capital plan. Whenever the Paddock Board first came on board, you had a lot of the lighting projects. Obviously, the restrooms were a huge deal, and so some of that is starting to come off of what's written in your plan. And so we want to make sure that we've got a good capital plan moving forward for the next 3 years. So this is just kind of an overview, just to remind you when your meetings are and kind of how we're definitely going to start those budget discussions next month. So if y'all have projects, if you have things that you would like for me to start researching, I know that we have talked about, wayfinding and signage, because we don't necessarily call it branding, but, making sure that we have a cohesiveness in that. So I'm looking for any of those special requests from the board members of any quotes or projects that you would like for me to look at. Also, June is a little bit crazy because you have your annual joint meeting with the City Council, TEDC, and TISD on Monday the 10th. And then I'm also proposing that same week a Paddock / Park Board Town Square Development Joint Workshop. And that was the Board and Commission roundhouse that I was talking about. So what we're looking at doing is bringing the consultants and staff out to talk to you and the Park Board at the same time. I think it would be great to roll out these ideas, and then that way you are both able to hear those at the same time. So in July, it will be capital plan draft and more budget information, and then pushing to have a final budget review and recommendation to council in August. And I'm just saying that because if we don't get there, then we still have at least 1 more month to make sure that happens. But we'll want to make sure our goal is in August. So we'll obviously continue to send you updates and as meetings get scheduled, and we will check everyone's availability. But I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what we're looking at. So I was going to let Carnell kind of talk to you a little bit about some of the park side and things to consider also whenever we're looking at our schedules and thinking about budget.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It's been a long night.
Yeah.
So I actually have a couple updates before we get into the FY25, what's coming up in the next year. So for our actual park project updates, we did start moving on the bridge project, and we kind of made some changes, but with those changes, we were able to save some funds, about $25,000 or so dollars. And matter of fact, Mr. Caldwell had reached out to our president and kind of gave her an idea of what we're doing. We're planning on demoing the bridge still, along with adding a meandering sidewalk around the pond with a smaller bridge that will still allow people to cross over that kind of wetland area. And that project came to be between 40 and 50,000 or so. Just kind of depends on what extra work that may pop up as we're doing the work. And then our other two projects, the tennis court and basketball projects, we did receive quotes back in late March, and the tile for the basketball court came in a lot higher than what we had expected initially. And we do hope to come to the board and ask you guys to see if we could use some of the funds that we saved and try to put that towards the basketball court and tennis court project. The tennis court project also came up on the upper end, not just because of resurfacing tennis court, but also transitioning the courts to a pickleball court. They had to add more steel and had to be able to kind of update some of the surface areas due to some of the distresses that came over our last freeze that came up in February. So that added a little bit more additional cost than what we expected as well, because some of those cracks gotten larger since last summer. And the park board and I think additional members of the community had also mentioned for our next coming years, soccer fields, all our fields, about irrigation. I believe you had mentioned it to Mr. Caldwell, and like what would that take? What would that cost? So hopefully you guys will be thinking about that. We've received quotes back in late 22, early 23, upwards of 130 to 150,000. So those prices probably have gone up since then. And that's all I have for my updates.
So glad to hear that'll be part of the capital planning project, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then right now there's pictures circulating of the bridge that Carnell just mentioned. We had agreed to contribute $75,000 towards the replacement of the bridge at Ben Gill, and they were able to reconfigure the layout so that we could get a less expensive bridge and more sidewalk. But both of those combined came in at less than $75,000. So I think I understand you say you'll be back to ask. I'm not sure we can take action in this meeting, but you'll be back to ask if we can reallocate that difference towards the increased cost of the basketball court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is the bridge, because that bridge is heavily trafficked. People ride bicycles over
Yes.
it. People are standing on the side.
Yes.
That looked, is it as wide as the one we have now?
No, this one is a 7-foot by 20-foot. The one we have currently is a 40-foot by 10-foot. Just due to it being a steel bridge, you still, even with the high volume of traffic, it will be able to withstand that. That wooden bridge has been there for the 30, 40 years.
I was
So
more concerned about the width.
width?
Because it's already crowded during weekends, summers, and like I said, with people, the width right now, you can kind of go around people that are standing on the side or something like that, because it seems to be a popular place for taking pictures, for, now if we go metal, it
that'll
might
go
not be.
away.
If
Yes,
it's metal, it might not be,
yes.
but I am a little concerned about the width, if it's not as wide.
And we did make sure that the width of the bridge is wide enough for passing. So as you can probably see in the picture, you can see kind of a 2-passenger 4-wheeler being able to pass across that, with a little bit of more, a little bit of room on each side. So if it could fit kind of a 2-passenger vehicle, then we figured that it'd be good enough for people to kind of just be able to cross the bridge back and forth. It's a little bit wider than what the sidewalk is currently. The sidewalk up to the bridge is about 6 foot and just widens out. So we didn't want people to just kind of sit there and meander, especially if they're not going to be right over across the water. It's going to be right on the edge. We just want to have people to be able to kind of move around the park.
Is it too late to change and make reconfigurations? I'm just thinking how wide 7 feet is. I'm 5'8". So I'd imagine a couple more feet.
So if you look at the Breezy Hill sidewalk, that one's 8 feet. It's just like maybe like a foot less, a boot between. Yes. Oh, about the bridge width. Okay, the bridge width.
Too late to try to get 2.5 more feet, 2.2 or 2.5 more feet based on.
I believe so, because we already kind of started moving on that, because if we waited too long, then we would be, waiting for the bridge manufacturer back into late August, late September, and we didn't know if we could get the bridge in time before the next budget year. So that was one of the concerns that we had. And if we had to manufacture a bigger bridge, it could take 3 to 5, possibly 6 months, depending if there was a delay on material.
I thought it would just alter the beams going right to left. It would be a whole reconstruction.
And
It's easy to make changes before we start.
right, and a larger bridge would cost more. I did get pricing for a larger bridge. A larger bridge, it was significantly more than what we're paying now.
I wish I could see those numbers, just 2.5 feet. I wonder if it would go back to the 25,000 based on looking at longevity and then people moving on that bridge and then.
Yes, ma'am. So I can tell you some of the quotes that we have received were upwards of 50,000, above 50,000 for a bridge, and that is not even to install a bridge. That additional work to install the bridge was even costly. So that's why we tried to come up with an option that will allow the board to have something that's aesthetically pleasing and still have a bridge crossing in the area.
So the original proposal for the bridge was what size?
It was 10 foot. It was to replace what we have existing with galvanized steel and a concrete or aluminum crossing so that we wouldn't have the deteriorating material like the wood. And just with the same material, that was extremely costly. So, and we couldn't move on that without additional funds.
Okay, so the price we had was the original size of the bridge, but we utilized other funds for surrounding sidewalks and things?
No, ma'am. We use the same funds that we have existing to add sidewalk and add a smaller bridge to cross over.
I'm not asking the question. What was the original proposal? We're happy we saved money, but what was the original proposal? It was just the same bridge and nothing else?
We originally approved $75,000 to go towards the replacement of a bridge, because at once upon a time, the number was much more than 75. We were only comfortable with contributing 75 towards the project. They value engineered it. It's much more of a pond jumper than it is a bridge now. And so they were able to save money with the reconfiguration. And I think the logic on the width of the bridge was it's a little bit wider than the sidewalks where people are passing anyway. It's no longer a destination like the bridge was before for pictures and watching the ducks. It's just more for getting over the low spot that won't always have water under it either.
Right.
So one recommendation, because this item will have to come back to Paddock. If y'all are okay, if timing is a concern and this is something that you want to get moving, then I would say recommend Carnell to bring this proposal. If you're okay with, if it takes a little longer and we would like time to consider options, then maybe you bring the item back and we could possibly even do this item during our special meeting.
Except we've already approved it. We've given them $75,000 to go build a bridge, and they're working on that. So I think
I feel like my concern is that we approved a particular spec and now that spec has changed. And that, I'm not even sure that I'm upset about the amount of money in the project that we're having. It's the fact that we were shown one thing, said we were giving money for this thing, and now it's completely changed, and we're still on the hook for that money. And nobody likes to be in a situation where they've allocated money for something that they're not happy with the final project. So I wish that we had received an update from you guys before an order was placed and said, this is what we would like for the money to be spent on. We think that having a less expensive bridge with additional walking trails is a better use of the money, and now we're going to have money. All of that is great. I don't have a problem with that, but the changes happening is the part that we really would have preferred an update on.
so. I'll take the heat on that because Glenn did reach out to me and showed me the proposed bridge and demonstrated the cost savings that was a part of it. I apologize. I don't remember seeing any elevation drawings of what kind of, like a specific bridge that they were going after. And, you know, he asked, does this need to go back to the board for final design? And I said, well, we're not bridge experts. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it's purposeful, and you're saving us money. And those were the things that we, I think, recommended. But I don't know that we got to choose the bridge. I think we deferred that to staff.
Worried about this, it's not a pretty bridge, it's not. But the fact that we have not a pretty bridge now and a smaller bridge, I have an issue with that. Because I'm telling you, that is a well-trafficked area, and I've seen people with wheelchairs on there, and people that are jogging or running, and I'm just picturing now, we've got this, I know it's not that small,
It's the same
but
with
I
the
have a concern.
sidewalk, though, right? So if they're able to traverse the sidewalk, they're able to traverse the bridge. Okay. Good feedback on how maybe we'd like to be approached in the future. Thank you for the update.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, under new business, is to discuss and consider downtown revitalization matching grant application regarding 200 East Nash Street, and for this, I'll call on Raylan.
So what you have before you is a grant application from Ray and Pamela Ng. This is Dr. Ng across the street. They did fill out another application to bring back to Paddock. This is a follow-up request from November the 10th. Wanted to give you a little bit of background. You will notice my recommendation on page 3 of this application. I also included the November 10th original application, just so I can help refresh you on what was decided. So the original request was for 5 items. City contractors in the city is picking up the expense of the actual sidewalk along East Nash and also North Adelaide. You'll notice that it is semi-under construction. Paddock agreed to reimburse the property owners for the cost of the brick pavers that were going to be part of that plan, and also the accent lighting. So when staff met with Dr. Ng and his wife following the Paddock meeting, I explained that we would work with them to find a contractor for the sidewalk. However, that contractor would not be purchasing the pavers, and they would need to make sure that the pavers that were listed, you know, were purchased in advance, and then that cost would be reimbursed. We also the city did not pick up, nor did Paddock pick up the resurfacing or the striping for the new pavement behind the building. So all of that would be on the owner to reestablish those parking lines based on the construction. So your application today is they are coming back to you to reconsider the $10,800, which would be for the striping, or they're also asking for the $19,333. So I'm going to let Pamela explain her application to you, but I wanted to make sure that we had all of y'all's background information to you also.
So we get 2 bids from the contractor. One is 10,800, one is 19,333, but we did not use the 19,333 because we thought that it's just a little bit overpriced. So we're staying with the 10,800, like what the original contractor proposed to do. And he will stay with that price. We tried to get the price down, but he said that he can do it for less. But the problem is that if anybody park the car there, he said if he did not use we are not in the contractor business, but he explained to us, he said he have to have a certain height or certain inches of concrete to, if someone parked the car, then the pavement can still hold the car. It will not crack, it will not cause problem in the future. So that's why we want to see if we can get some help on that.
So the item being requested is 10,800. That will complete the job
Yes.
needed.
Yes, and I have pictures of showing
Sure.
all that, of what they try to do.
How is construction progressing inside the building?
Inside the building is kind of, right now it's kind of complete, I would say, but we still have to do the bed of the, we haven't put the sheetrock on the bed because we do not have enough fund to do the sheetrock of the bedwork between the other building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for finishing the building?
We tried to get the bid from the contractor, but we haven't decided what we're going to do yet because we want to finish the bed of the pavement and see how much are they going to cost us to finish the sheetrock. Then we can lease it out. Yeah.
Did I understand you say you don't have the funds to finish the
We do
sheetrock?
not have the fund at this time because it's just too much money for us, to finish this project to begin with. And we didn't have any income coming in. So, and we want to see, finish the pavement and parking, and then we will see how much we can afford to see if we can finish the sheetrock or not. Otherwise, we have to, if anybody comes in to see if they want to lease the space, then we have to help them out, or if they can do it themselves to finish the sheetrock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions from Ms. Ng?
You don't get a leasing or someone to take over the building, do you have a projected budget, a projected time that you may can get it finished, even with trying to budget what you're doing?
You mean inside the building or the back?
Yeah, inside, I'm concerned about this finishing building so we can get it, rented for you guys. You can get it rented and then get the income you need. Do you have a backup plan or contingency plan if you can't get the leasing to do it?
Not yet. We're looking for some management companies to come in to help us out probably. And we're still looking and see who can, help us because we want to do probably a multi-specialty clinic or surgical centers and things like that because we have some doctors, they're interested in talking to us about that, but they want us to help them out. If they come in, they want us to help them out to finish it out. But we will still try to see which way will be, easier for us.
How many units are available? For
It's 4 units now, yeah. It will be 4 units, it's 5,000 square foot, yeah. We have some people say they want to do coffee shops and all that, but they want us to help them out to finish it, and then we calculated, they don't want to pay too much of the monthly, rent, and if we have to help them out, it's going to take us like so many years, then we can, make it positive, yeah.
Ms. Ng, have the funds been spent that we approved previously?
We haven't get any funds or anything from anybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we get nothing from anybody. I mean, like, I don't know that we approve any funds,
So Rayla, we did approve a reimbursement already.
So originally, y'all approved for the pavers, which would be reimbursed once they were purchased, and those haven't been purchased, and also the lighting would be reimbursed to the property owner. And the city of Terrell is picking up the costs for the sidewalk construction.
The parking will be dedicated parking, not public parking.
Right.
Any other questions or feedback?
Last time this was brought before us, the reason we went with the pavers and the lighting was because it fit our facade program. That we had discussion that that building, and even on the sidewalks, which the city graciously took that part, we were concerned that we were kind of setting a precedence by doing striping, resurfacing, and, because these are supposed to be more permanent fixtures and not,
Aesthetically pleasing?
yeah,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Is there a motion to approve the request as presented? All right. Hearing none, I think we're going to move forward and ask for, I think it'll take a different approach, either through a management company that can help you find tenants to do the tenant improvements, or perhaps the city's interested in phasing the opening of the building, and as you lease out suites, you can generate income to do some of these other projects. But it doesn't seem to align with our charter, so we're going to have to pass on this one. Thank you. This time, we'll discuss and consider downtown revitalization matching grant application for 102 Eastmore Avenue. At this time, I'll call on Raylan.
So we have an application this morning from Mr. Chitty, who is here to represent the property. This is at 102 Eastmore. I have included in your packet a copy of a proposal that he's received for some roof repairs to his building downtown. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Chitty, since he's here.
Thank you. Let me just say right off the bat, the correct address on this property is 106 Eastmore. The Bren Building is 102 Eastmore, where Bruce, Miracle, and I office, and as well as several others. The property that the request is for is the little building, the one-story building next door. I call it the barber shop building because there was a barber shop in there when I was a kid. But the building is now occupied by an insurance agency. But it's the one-story building, iron front, and the age of the building is roughly 120 years old. As most of those old buildings, it has a flat roof, and after 120-plus years of adding roof material and redoing the roof, the level of the roof on the front of the building no longer matches the scupper level. So water pools on the front of the building and finds a way to seep into the building. And that building has the original pressed tin ceiling in it, so it's a very historic, architecturally styled structure. And the inside still has a lot of the original ceiling in place. So we have an estimate to demo the front part of that roof, replace it, take out the old scuppers, put new scuppers in, let the roof level match the level of the scuppers so the roof will drain properly. Stop the damage to the inside of the pressed tin.
Thank you. Keyword is preservation.
I'm sorry? Keyword is preservation, yes. You guys, a lot of you guys are too young to remember what that building used to be and what it used to look like, but the Bren Building back in the 1980s was just a vacant building, and that little building next door, the 106 building, had been divided in half. It had a barber shop on one side, and I don't remember what was on the other side of that building. But anyway, we restored it to one occupied space after we acquired the building in the 1980s, and did some fix-up on the inside, did some fix-up on the iron front, restored it to what it used to look like when it was constructed. And this roof situation has kind of persisted over the years. We finally have decided just to tear out that front part of the roof, replace it, make it right, let the levels match the scuppers.
Mike, you're going to have to help me. What's a scupper?
The scupper's that thing that drains the water off the front. It's at roof level, and water drains into the scupper and then down the downspout and empties the roof of the water. It's basically a gutter, yeah. But 106 Eastmore is the actual location of that building.
And the request is for reimbursement of $4,546.50.
Yes,
Total cost of the project.
yes, ma'am.
This is for a partial replacement?
Partial replacement, just to get the level where it will still drain. You know, that's one of those interior buildings, and so it has to drain either front to back or back to front to get the water off the roof. It was designed to drain back to front, and so that's what we're doing. We're replacing enough of the roof at the front to level it out and still drain.
The condition of the back part is still good?
It's not leaking on the back. That's a good question. But, you know, these old buildings with multi-layers on them, when water starts pooling, it'll find a way to get in. And that's what's happening.
Mike, has it done damage to the inside?
A little bit of damage to some of the ceiling tile, the original pressed tin, but not serious at this point. Need to stop it.
So are you asking for just the total price?
Yes, sir,
I can't picture the building. Is the one with the barber pole, or is it the one that Morgan Miller used to rent? Okay.
It's the one that was Casey Akins is now in that space now.
Okay.
Let me get close enough.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Chitty? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request as presented.
I'd like to make a brief comment before I make the motion. This is a little unusual for us because this is the first time that we have had a request for repairs that didn't also come with some sort of beautification of the building. However, that building is already one of the better conditioned facades, in my opinion, on Moore Avenue. So with that being said, I'm happy to make the motion to approve this in the interest of preservation.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This time, we'll discuss and consider RFP 2405, contract recommendation for Virginia Street Parking Improvements South, and I'll call on Raylan.
We are so excited to announce that we had 4 contractors bid on our South Virginia parking lot projects. We are recommending King George Traffic Solutions. They were the low bid. You'll recall you originally had budgeted $300,000 for this parking lot, and so to let you know, both of the bids came in under budget. So I will make the same presentation to TERS number 1. And it is the same contractor, and they are good to proceed. Council would take their final action at their first meeting in May, and we would be under construction by the end of May, which is great.
Questions for Raylan?
I'm sorry, I'm sure you just said it, but there were too many thoughts happening in my head at one time. How much money did we allocate to this project?
300.
Okay, I thought so. And I see on there, the lighting is still TBD.
Yes.
So do we think with this that we would be hitting right at budget once that was added?
Yes, yeah,
I
once
just
we
want to make sure
determine.
lighting
Yes.
is included.
Oh, it is absolutely there, but that will be an item that will come back because we've got to make some aesthetic decisions on that. So we're gathering some of those for y'all.
Same lighting is consistent throughout.
Yes, yeah.
This is only
Yes, the one for the north side is being funded by TERS number 1.
TERS funded the demo
Yes,
on both.
yes.
We're only being asked to finish out south.
And the way that this will look is this is a recommendation to city council to approve the contract based upon your budget as set.
And so both of them will look the same, be done by the same company, it's just they're paying for one more.
Absolutely.
How many parking spaces is this?
You ended up with, I think it was 16 and 21. Yeah, so almost, we did really good. And yes, they'll be under construction at the same time. That is my world. That is my world. No, it's great. So anyway, we were really excited to get some very competitive bids and some outside vendors, and so that was good.
And this is for public parking.
Yes.
Questions for Raylan? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented. Thank you, Sarah. Is there a second? I'll second. Thank you, Hillary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, at this time, we're going to adjourn into executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 087, deliberations regarding economic development items discussed in executive session required.
Before we adjourn, ma'am,